سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الله أبا عبد الله. لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وأتقرب إلى الله ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله عمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرا، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت وتهيأت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك، فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم. وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. Together. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم. إني سلم سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغنا المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم، وأسأل الله بحقكم وبشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطى مصابا مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد وعليه السلام صلوات. اللهم إن ذلك يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وذلك يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفنا هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. صل على السلام عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخرا عهد مني لزيارتكم. With the loudness of your voices. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين السلام وعلى علي بن وعلى أولاد وعلى السلام. Imagine yourself in front of the shrine. وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسة ولعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرة وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزق والدتي شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود. اللهم ارزق والدي شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود. اللهم ارزقني وارزق اخواني واخواتي واولادي وبناتي وجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود. وثبت لهم ولنا قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين واصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. After a salawat, please mention your hajat. Allah.
أحسن. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Next, I would like to call up Sister Zahra Al-Sahlani to come up and recite her poem. Let us welcome her with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Zahra Al-Sahlani, and today I'll be reciting a poem titled Let's Return to the Day of Ashura by Sayyid Ali al-Musawi al-Khalkhali, modified by me. Let us return to the day of Ashura. Let us return to the day where the whole world was in azab. Let us return to the land of Karbala. Let us return to the land in which the dua is answered. On that red, hot and sunny day, upon the sands Hussein's body lays and his whole head placed on top of a spear. Surely this event made the whole world shed a tear. For this was the one who to the Prophet was so dear. If not from the Rasul, if not from the Batul, then from who did the enemy fear? Some of the enemy headed towards the camp in forces, whilst others decided to trample upon Hussein's chest with their horses. We, the Shia, shall pledge till our last ever breath. We shall remember Hussein's tragic death. We are ready to go through pain as long as we are with Hussein. To be with you is all we want, Hussein. Hussein, we will always chant. Hussein, we are now so proud to shout your name, to shout aloud. Hussein, your name is in our hearts. From it, your name shall not depart. From death to birth, we shall insist that we love you, we shall persist. You are our guide, you are our light. You show us the path which is right. We are not afraid, we are not shy to shout your name until we die. For what we know is that you are the greatest man, the brightest star. Upon the highest ranks you are the brightest star. Within your ranks we wish we stood, but now our life for you we put. Upon our hearts your name has set, your name we shall never forget. No matter how much they hit, with your lovers we want to sit. They thought they had accomplished their mission. Did they not realize that this was the start of Hussein's revolution? If we seek salvation, then visit Hussein, for he guides the true one to the straight and narrow lane. For the one who kisses Hussein's dust, his heart shall never ever rust. For he has become so clean and pure, as he has received Hussein's cure. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala. Thank you for that beautiful poem, Sister Zahra. Next, I would like to call upon Brother Muhammad Ali to come up and recite poem for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Salawat. I am going to recite a poem about Hazrat Ali Asghar and how he was martyred at such a young age. Amidst the sands of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. In the cradle of love he was embraced, by parents' hearts gently encased. A gift from heaven, a precious gem, whose radiance outshone the diadem. Amidst the sand of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. As the sun wept tears on that fateful day, in Karbala's land where heroes lay. Ali Asghar's thirst, a mother's plea. Ali Asghar's thirst, a mother's plea, to the oppressors, a plea to see. Amidst the sand of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. A tiny martyr, he took his stand, held in arms by his father's hand. With innocence that no one could ignore, he faced the cruelty of war's harsh lore. Amidst the sand of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. A single arrow through the air did soar, with hearts aching the heavens bore. Innocent blood spilled upon the ground, a tragedy in Karbala's battleground. Amidst the sands of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. Yet in the midst of darkness and despair, Ali Asghar's spirit soared in the air. For his sacrifice, etched in hearts that grieve, a tale of love that will never leave. Amidst the sands of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. In the annals of time his name remains, a symbol of love that forever reigns. Ali Asghar, a child of courage and grace, in our hearts you'll find a sacred place. Amidst the sands of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. In the cradle of love he was embraced, by parents' hearts gently encased, a gift from heaven, a precious gem, whose radiance outshone the diadem. Amidst the sands of Karbala's strife, a name resounds with courage bold. Ali Asghar, a child of tender age, a symbol of love on history's page. Salawat.
Thank you for that beautiful poem. Now I will recite a short salam, followed by, inshallah, Sheikh will recite after me. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. Everybody together. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. دہائی دہائی خدا را دہائی یہ دشت بلا میں ہے کیسی تباہی. بہایا ہے کس نے یہ خون محمد, قیامت یہ ڈائی ہے کس نے الہی. جوانوں بزرگوں کو مارا گیا ہے, شہیدوں میں شامل ہے ننھا سپاہی. حسین الغریب الغریب حسین الشہید الشہید. کیا جشن برپا یوں اہل ہوس نے, شہیدوں کے لاشوں پہ ڈنکے بجائے. جلا ڈالے آل محمد کے خیمے, سکینہ کے منہ پر تماچے لگائے. جو بیمار تھا اس کا بستر نہ چھوڑا, نبی زادیوں پر بھی در چلائے. حسین الغریب غریب حسین الشہید. اٹھی اپنے مرکد سے بنت محمد, سیاہ شب کی چادر میں چہرہ چھپا کر گئی کربلا میں तो उसने ये देखा है बोसीदा कुर्ते में एक लाश बेसर, बदन सारा तीरों से छली पड़ा है, लहू में है डूबा हुआ सारा पैकर। हुसैन अल गरीब गरीब अल हुसैन शहीद शहीद अल हुसैन। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। Just a few announcements before we call up Sheikh. Inshallah, tomorrow we are going to be starting the English lecture right after Salatul Jum'ah. So the program for tomorrow is as follows: 10:30 a.m. is going to be the Amal, 1 p.m. Salatul Jum'ah, and 2:15 p.m. we will congregate in here to commemorate the day of Ashura. And before everybody leaves, please make sure to take your garbage with you, and we don't want to leave anything behind. And lastly, please do not forget to donate, because your support is what keeps us the programs running. And lastly, I want to ask everyone to please, if you see an empty spot in front of you, please fill that spot up, so that whoever comes next, they can, it's easier for them, so that Majlis does not get disturbed. So if you see an empty spot in front of you, please fill it up. Last but not least, I would like to call up Sheikh Mustafa Khalik. Let us welcome him with three loud salawats ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين، سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الأبرار لفي نعيم على الأرائك ينظرون، تعرف في وجوههم نضرة النعيم، يسقون من رحيق مختوم، ختامه مسك، وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts and increase our rewards as we commemorate the night of Ashura, Laylatu Ashura. Mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We began from the beginning of this month in a series discussing the universal message of love from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We spoke about this message from different aspects and how we can increase our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is in fact should be the first goal of every believer. A journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Everything that we do, every breath that we take, if we get to that level of sincerity and ikhlas, where we take it in love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, realizing that inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, we belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not from as in part, no part, He has no parts. He is one. From as in honorable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored us. He created us, perfected our creation. فَلَمَّا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. When I perfect him and put into him, blow into him the ruh that belongs to me. Everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here, why does he say belongs to me? It is to make it intimate, to make it so close, something that is so special. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves insan, honors insan, and grants him this special ruh, mixes it with our body as part of a journey that we can get close to him through both of them. Ruh has its honor, the body has the challenges. The body is supposed to challenge the ruh. It's a vehicle for the ruh in order to gain nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without this journey, we cannot gain the highest levels that are intended for us. We have to go through this journey. And part of this journey are all the struggles that we go through in life. The beginning of life begins with a very painful part. Child labor is painful for the mother and painful for the child. The first breath that a child takes into this world, or in this world, is very painful. Yeah? They want to hear the child cry when he arrives to realize that, okay, he did take that breath, he did have that pain, or he endured that pain, now he's ready to breathe in this world. Yes? That's part of it. And similarly, for a mu'min, yes, we have to realize that there are all these warnings about the barzakh and qiyamah. However, we have to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is taking our ruh. Malakul Maut is responsible for that, but who essentially takes it? Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mamatiha. When you're in the hands of God, you're in good hands, aren't we? We are in the best hands. What else do you want? Only if we don't burn in regret ourselves. And this is what I began with from the beginning. Punishment is nothing from God as in lack of love. He's always loving. He's always merciful. It's the consequence of our own regret. It's our own fire that we burn in when we realize, when we wake up to the realities that we were asleep in the slumber of this life. النَّاسُ نِيَامٌ فَإِذَا مَاتُوا انْتَبَهُوا. People are asleep. When they die, that's when they wake up. We wake up, we realize what we missed out on, so we start regretting. The regret starts from there. The burning starts from within, in fact. Inshallah, we're not amongst them. And like Imam Hussein alayhi salam said when the enemy accused him of the fire, he said, I am going to a merciful Lord. I am going to the Lord that is all mercy, Rahim, especially merciful towards his special servants. If we are with Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we will have no worries. As you depart this world, if we can seal our book of A'mal and this life, the Khatima, Khitamuhu Misk. If we can seal our book of A'mal and this life with the love of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we're victorious. That's the reality. Typically, the majalis in some cultures end on 10 nights, some of them go 11 or 12 nights. We're coming to the end of it. Many may not even show up after the day of Ashura. Yeah, typically, yes? Inshallah, that's not our situation. That's not us. None of us, inshallah. We can make changes, yes? Everybody is capable of making changes. If change was not possible, God would not have sent messengers. You know, for some who believe in Jabr, that everybody is where they are based on what God decreed for them and they cannot do anything about it, that theory is so void in its nature for any believer, because it nullifies all of the messages of all messengers. We could not have a messenger if we could not change. God wouldn't, it would be void, it would be futile, useless. Why would he send a messenger if nobody could change? Everybody's going to be who they are and how they are. Don't allow anyone to put that idea in your mind. You can change, I can change, every one of us can change. And if anything can help us change, it is these majalis, these gatherings in love of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. He is the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a special servant who gave everything. Bal ibadun mukramun. We're not claiming that they're anything other than servants of God. We are not, and anyone who accuses the Shia that they consider the Prophet or Ahlul Bayt or Imam Ali alayhi salam above what they are and they are ghulat, they are making false accusations with absolutely no proof. We constantly put everyone where they belong based on their words. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, the Prophet is my master. So for those who say that we put Imam Ali before the Prophet, they do that. Abasa wa tawalla, they say the Prophet frowned. And if you tell them it's not, it's the third Khalifa who frowned, as some narrate, no way the Khulafa would do that. These Sahaba are so pure, there's no way they could do that. But the Prophet could do that. Subhanallah. They do that. We don't put anyone above Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No way. Rasulullah khayru khalqillah, the best one amongst the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim, their words are below God's words, but they are above people who have not been revealed to, people who have not been taught by the best teacher, by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Imam Ali alayhi salam has so much wisdom that fills the world. Nobody can deny his wisdom. One of my teachers, he shares examples of great men in history of humanity and how many words of wisdom they said, they shared. And he says some of them maybe 20, 30. None of them exceeded 100, let's say. He says about 20, 30, roughly. The greatest men that they have recorded words of wisdom from them. Look at the words of wisdom of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Every word of it, you dissect them. Not just Amir al-Mu'minin. Inshallah, tonight, I will share some of the words of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And you'll see, you have to dissect them and put them each small sentences. And every one of them is volumes to be written about. Words of wisdom of Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because he says, Allamani Rasulullah. The best teacher taught me. Allamani Rasulullah alfa babin min al-ilm. 1,000 categories in which each of them divide into 1,000. Yeah? Rasulullah taught him, so he has the knowledge, he has the wisdom. Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'een, they have the wisdom. If we try to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their love and their words, we will have that seal, the khitam, that is beautiful, misk, the best scent, the best ending, and we can change. Every one of us can change. The messenger is there for us to change. Amirul Mu'mineen sacrificed for us to change. Imam Hussein alayhi salam gave his life and the lives of his loved ones, the best ones who walked on earth. He says, God has not created anyone better than these people that I can see on the day of Ashura. On earth at that time, they were the best people, the purest people. You know why the magnitude of the Musab, this calamity, is not compared to, or cannot be compared to anything else? It's not because of the quantity. Some, they look at it as in quantity. You know, there are massacres that more people died. And it's not because of the way they died. Because there are people who got tortured and killed, and children were killed, and there are things, if you look in the history, you'll find things in terms of the magnitude of the physical, on the physical sense. It has nothing to do with the physical magnitude of the Musab. It's about the fact that you're looking at the most honorable people on earth, the most pure people on earth, and the enemy knew who they were. It's not like they didn't know who they are. I speak from my own experience. I was once stopped in one of the borders. You know, sometimes we get stopped in borders and we get questioned. And it took a long time, and I mean a long time. I was in total 14 hours there. Okay, so at one point you feel like a prisoner, literally. And the guy asked me, he said, you know, you maintained your smile throughout this time. It's unbelievable. I can't understand, how do you do that? I said, I was going for the Arba'een, by the way. I said I was going to speak about a lady who we consider her the mountain of patience. So if I couldn't have patience, there would be a problem. That's the start. Well, I'm going to speak about her. I have to learn something from her. Salamullah alayha. Zainab salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Besides that, I know that you consider me a threat. And maybe you have some reason to believe that I could be a threat. So I understand that you're doing your job. And you're trying to protect the society from possible harms. All understandable. Within myself, I'm thinking, Salamullah alaykum ya Ahl al-Bayt. The enemy knew that they were not a threat. The enemy knew that Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam was the purest person on earth at that time. One of them could not keep him any longer. He said to Harun, either you take him out or I'm setting him free. Take him somewhere else. I can't have him. How can I keep such a righteous, great person in my prison? It's only people who are not from legitimate birth who could do what they did to Ahlul Bayt. The purest people on earth. And the enemy knows who they are. This is the magnitude of the Musab. How far, how low did humanity go? This is what we cry. How low did we have to go? We speak about love and how we should be loving and how much love we should grow. How unloving can they be? When we speak about Ar-Radiyah, to some, when they attack some people and they kill them, thinking that these are people who are going to be, let's say, terrorists. And if they grow, even their children would be terrorists. Yeah, they know that this is the case with some individuals, so they feel the right to do that. These people knew that this is the grandson of Rasulullah, the mercy left on earth is there. And they knew that there is no threat from him or his son or his infant child. None of them. And yet they did what they did. This is what hurts. And it should hurt a human being. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, if a believer dies in agony because the anklet of a non-Muslim, non-believer was taken out of her foot or ankle by force, snatched out of her ankle. If a believer dies in agony, I would see it worthy of that. لَكَانَ لِذَلِكَ أَهْلًا. I don't blame him if he does. Yet, humanity stooped so low to the point that the best people on earth, lack of love is very dangerous. Very dangerous. This is why we need to change. If you wonder on the day of Ashura, if I was there, could I be with them or not? You want to ask yourself, shouldn't we ask ourselves, would I have been with them or would I have not been with them? Many people missed out, were not able to join them for many reasons. Some late to respond, many. Why? Late for salat? Think about it. Huh? Late to respond. Where are your priorities? Inshallah, in the coming nights, if we have the opportunity, I want to speak about salat. Where are your priorities? They were late to join Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That was their wajib then. And they were late. If today your wajib is salat, don't be late. Example. Some of them, they were attached to dunya. It is so sad that we find sometimes brothers in faith, sometimes blood brothers, after centuries of the love spread by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and taught by the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, the believers are brothers. Even today, blood brothers are fighting over money. If it happened before Islam in Jahiliyyah, we understand. Today we're still doing it, and it is everywhere, sadly enough. Where is our love? Unfortunately, I've witnessed it with people who are so close. They get into a business together. What happens next? They cannot maintain the love. It's gone. As if it was never there. And you wonder. Sometimes we're trying to reconcile between people in the community. And you wonder, did they really have any kind of love towards each other before today? The way they're looking at each other, the way they're talking, the way that nobody is willing to give up a little bit of his rights. In marital relationships, sometimes we see that. Lack of love is very dangerous. And I'm not speaking of worldly materialistic love that dies with a little bit of change in the worldly appearances. No, I'm speaking of real love. We need to grow love. If we don't have it, families will break. Businesses will go in the materialistic way. The materialistic way that is completely based on worldly gains and losses, has no ethics, no morality in it. Even people become numbers. Unfortunately, we're living in a society that generally, when you study economics, they will put numbers for people. When they speak of cost and benefit analysis, they put humans within the analysis. Yeah? How many people would die in this project? And how much do we have to pay compensation? Numbers. It's all about numbers. Don't be slaves of these numbers. Love is above that in every area. I want to reflect on some of the words of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and inshallah through that we all change. We all try from tonight that we want to be more loving. Make it your task. Make it a challenge for yourself. In fact, if you don't challenge yourself, you can't grow. Those who want to grow muscles, what do? Huh? You have to challenge yourself, yeah? You have to push yourself. if you want to grow the muscle of your heart, not the physical heart, the loving heart. If you want to grow that, you have to challenge yourself. How? Somebody you haven't spoken to in a while because something went wrong. Can you tell them that you still love them? Text, call, whichever way, in their face. You're still my brother, or you're still my sister in faith. You're still my relative if it is. You're still my cousin. You're still my brother if it's real. You're still my son. You're still my father if it is. Wal-ayadu billah. If we have any kind of tensions in the family, whatever it is, can you make that challenge for yourself and tell them that you love them? And even if you don't feel it, can you make it, fake it until you make it? Make words. And this is the meaning of tahabbub. This is the word from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. He says, رأس العقل بعد الإيمان بالله التحبب إلى الناس. Have you heard the term tabaki? Okay. In Majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they say if you cannot cry, do tabaki. What does it mean? Doesn't mean act. It means push yourself. Push yourself. Act in the sense that you try to squeeze those tears. Sit in the position of one who is in grief. Put your head down in a position of one who's in grief. And try to remember the masa'ib of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the parts you can connect more with. Even in the hadith we are told, in dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in khashya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's so recommended to cry. If somebody couldn't cry, somebody asked the Imam, if I can't, he says, think about things that make you emotional in your life. About your own child. About somebody who you love. Something went wrong. About your own life. And cry then. Why? The goal is to soften the heart. Because tears are signs of the softening of the heart. Tabaki. Tahabbub is similar in terms of the format of the verb. It's to try to love. It's to force love. Push it. Try. Train. Work hard to love. At-tahabbub ila nas. He says after faith, after believing in God, the peak of faith, or the peak of intellect, is to try and love people and make them love you. Tahabbub is both directions. Do the things that they would love you for, and you try and love them more. Remember last night I shared, when you shake someone's hand, try to be the one who receives the 99 mercies. Based on what? The one who has more love for the other party. That's the hadith. Try to be the one who has more love. Make it a challenge for yourself. Can I receive those 99 mercies? I love you more. Make it. Try. Try hard. From tonight. Don't say one day. When I cool off from some hatred, anger, whatever it is, when I cool off, eventually I'll say some loving words. No, do it sooner. This is how we should be as lovers of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhim ajma'een. Follow them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Raise the bar of love. Raise it for yourself. You know how in certain training, they raise the bar to work harder. Yeah? Raise the bar for yourself. If you love this much, raise it so you can love more. If you say some loving words, say even more loving words. If you say very loving words, say them more frequently. Try and be more and more loving. That is in fact how Ahlul Bayt want us. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in another beautiful word of wisdom, he says, when it comes to words, the words that we shared last night, it's very significant. Choose loving words. When it comes to words, he says to Ibn Abbas, in a very nice, in fact, statement, he says to him, when you want to speak, يا ابن عباس لا تتكلمن بما لا يعنيك فإنني أخاف عليك. He says, don't speak in anything that you don't need to speak about. You know, sometimes we just want to speak. He says, no. When you want to speak, if something doesn't concern you, it is not necessary for you to say, don't speak. Why? Because أخاف عليك الوزر. I'm worried that you would say something wrong and you have to carry the burden of it. Somebody asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He said, Ya Rasulullah, do we get judged on what we say? The guy was still perhaps living in Jahiliyyah or whatever, didn't realize how significant are the words. So he said, do we get judged on what we say? The Prophet, he thought it's all about when I do something. Sometimes you feel like some people today, if children do it, we understand, but adults, up until today, some people think it's all about what you do. It's not about what you say. I don't eat haram, as in haram food, yeah? When I go to the supermarket, we have to read ingredients, make sure everything's halal. I'm not criticizing that. Yeah? Within reason, one should make sure whatever they're consuming is halal because it has an effect on their body and soul. It has both effects. Athar wada'iyya, it has some certain effects that we cannot escape. Just like poison. Can you escape poison? If I don't know it's poison and I eat it, will it poison me? I didn't know, so it shouldn't, yeah? That's not how it works. Same thing. So one has to make sure or try their best. In dua of Imam al-Hujjah Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, what does the dua say? طهر بطوننا من الحرام والشبهة. Purify our stomachs from what is haram, what is forbidden, and what is doubtful. Stay away from what's doubtful. If you doubt it, stay away from it. To the best of your ability, stay away from it. However, comes to words, they think it's free for all. You can say whatever you want. And we're not judged on it. That's how they act. Ayat from the Quran, ahadith, Ahlul Bayt, all of that speak opposite to what people maybe practically live, though theoretically they know otherwise. We know ghiba is haram. How many people refrain from ghiba? We know harming people in words in their face. Sometimes they say to you, I will say it in their face. Well, if you harm a believer with your words in their face, that's also a sin. If you're trying to advise somebody, you advise them privately and choose the best words that you can choose that could be effective, because Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar have conditions. You have to try and make it effective. If it's not effective, it's no longer Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. Therefore, if it's not necessary, don't say it, because the Prophet answered that person who asked, do I get judged on what I say? He says, وَهَلْ يُكَبُّ النَّاسِ عَلَى مَنَاخِرِهِمْ فِي النَّارِ إِلَّا حَصَائِدُ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. He says, do you think people end up in hellfire on their faces? In other words, in humiliation, except as a result of what they say, the fruits of what they earned with their tongues. حَصَائِدُ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. In other words, most people end up in hellfire, if not all, as a result of what they say. It starts with something you say. He says to him, don't speak unless you have to. And when you have to speak, if it's something that concerns you, وَلَا تَتَكَلَّمَنَّ بِمَا يَعْنِيكَ حَتَّى تَرَى لَهُ مَوْضَعًا. These are the words of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imagine him speaking to you. Tonight, the night of Ashura, you had a chance to have a chat with the Imam. And the Imam says this to you. Would you take it to heart and put it into practice? Let's do that. He says, if it is concerning you, don't speak unless حتى ترى له موضعا, unless it is the right time, right place. Make sure it's the right time, right place. Certain things, you say them in the wrong time. Somebody's angry and you want to advise them. What happens? It ends up being a fight and nobody benefits. Yeah? Leave it for when they're calm. Then you say it. حتى ترى له موضعا. فَرُبَّ مُتَكَلِّمٍ قَدْ تَكَلَّمَ بِحَقٍّ. He says sometimes you may say the right thing, but in the wrong place, wrong time. It doesn't benefit, it causes more damage, if anything. Therefore, even when it's something that you should say, make sure you say it at the right time, the right place. All of that, he continues until he comes to this line that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mujziyum bil ihsan was salam. He says God rewards ihsan. All of his words in this letter to Ibn Abbas are to tell him, love people in so much that you want to do goodness. Ihsan. Ihsan is above ma'roof, by the way. Ihsan that we're told to do to our parents, is that we do more than what's expected. Ma'roof is what is typically, generally expected. People are familiar with it. Ma'roof comes from familiarity. Munkar comes from what you what we're not, the soul is not familiar with. It's munkar. The soul, therefore, good people, good societies, they would not like it. It is wrong. It's munkar. It's not familiar. Ihsan is above that. Meaning what? For example, with parents, ma'roof is to take care of your parents when they're needy. Yes? To visit them and take care of their needs when they're needy. Ihsan is not when they're needy. You do it regardless. You gift them regardless. You visit them as frequent as you can, whether or not they need you. That's ihsan. It's more than ma'roof. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards with ihsan those who have ihsan. Those who do above ma'roof. Meaning what? Why would anyone do above ma'roof? Out of love. You love, therefore you want to do so much good. That is the result of love. Another word from the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, and this is more of a disclaimer. I made this disclaimer a few nights ago, another disclaimer here. The Imam says to a man, he says to him, Ya ibn Rasulillah, ana min shi'atikum. A man came. Do you consider yourself Shia? Mu'minin, mu'minat sitting here. A man came to the Imam, he says, ana min shi'atikum. I am one of your Shia. This is dangerous. I remember once in Medina, somebody asked me, one of those people who come and try and guide you or misguide you, whichever way you look at it. He tried to discuss things with me about ziyarah, about shafa'ah, about so many things that they try and question you. And one of the statements he made was, or one of the questions he asked me was, are you a Shia? I said, I wish I was. He said, what do you mean? Either you are a Shia or you're not. I said, no, it's not as simple as that. I'm trying to be. He was a bit disturbed. What are you trying to be? No, don't try. I'm trying to be. Well, I told him what Shia means. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, I followed Rasulullah the way the baby camel follows the mother. So he was the Shia of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Shia of Nuh alayhi salam is Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَإِنَّ مِن شِيعَتِهِ in the Quran لَإِبْرَاهِيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as he speaks of Nabiullah Nuh ala nabina wa alayhi salam, he says one of his Shia is Ibrahim. وَإِنَّ مِن شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيم. This is Shia. Ibrahim is the Shia of Nuh alayhi salam. Ali alayhi salam is a Shia of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa. And the Shia of Ali, because he was the best student of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, therefore we want to follow the best student of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we're supposed to be following Imam Ali alayhi salam. That is Shia of Ali. I'm trying to get there, because until then I can call myself a lover of Ahlul Bayt. And this is what the Imam tells us. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says to the man, اتق الله ولا تدعين شيئا يقول الله لك كذبت. He says, be careful, be wary of God, and don't claim something that on the day of judgment God would say to you, you lied. He said, I'm a Shia. And the Imam says to him, be careful. Don't say something. Then he says, إن شيعتنا من سلمت قلوبهم من كل غش وغل ودغل. Now we learn about the Shia. It's all about the people. He says, our Shia are those whose hearts are pure from every kind of ill feelings towards others, deception towards others, manipulation towards others. غش وغل ودغل. They love others. They care for others. They don't manipulate things for their benefits. They don't have hatred and ill feelings for others. Why? Because that is literally what is required to enter paradise. What is the description of people of paradise? There is no ghish in paradise, is there? There is no ghil in paradise. La fiha ghil. In paradise, there are no ill feelings. Can you imagine somebody hating in paradise? Somebody with hatred? It doesn't work, does it? What about anger? Somebody angry? You want to be of the people of paradise? Possess the qualities of the people of paradise. He says, وَلَكِنْ قُلْ أَنَا مِن مُوَالِيكُمْ وَمِن مُحِبِّيكُمْ. Say, I'm amongst those who love you and are trying to follow you, amongst those who are considered your servants, trying to follow Ahlul Bayt and spread the words of Ahlul Bayt. Inshallah, we're amongst them until we become amongst their real Shia. Salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'een. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. I want to share a sermon of the Imam, and I want you to imagine, or parts of the sermon of the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And try to imagine that the Imam is speaking to you. And I'll try to imagine the Imam is speaking to me, every one of us, in line with what we've discussed so far. خطب الإمام صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. The narration says he started saying يا أيها الناس, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beginning in the name of God, praising the messenger of God, and the salawat, which are all the parts of the sermons that they used to start with. He says يا أيها الناس نافسوا في المكارم. I began with the ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وفي ذلك سورة المطففين وفي ذلك فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Over the good deeds that lead to the best ending and lead to the best rewards in paradise, all the beautiful rewards described in paradise, over those things you should be competing. Why do we compete over worldly things and forget about the real competition? You want a competition? مُتَنَافِسُونَ. It's not about how strong your muscles are. It's not about how full your bank account is or how many digits it has. It should be about your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your status in the hereafter. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسَ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. That is a competition worthy of competing. The status is in heaven. He says, therefore, try to compete over honorable acts. He says, hasten towards virtues. Do not delay in performing acts of kindness. Every one of those words are enough by themselves to speak about. So I have no time. I'm going to go through them. Imagine the Imam is speaking to you. Now take it to your heart and elaborate within yourself. سارعوا في المغانم. Don't delay kind acts of kindness. Shaitan would come and change your mind. I often tell people, if a good thought comes to your mind, charity, good act, whatever it is, do it immediately. Do it before shaitan or other things stop you. Shayateen al-jinni wal-ins. Some of them are jinn, some of them are people around you that may discourage you from good acts. Do it. وَلَا تَحْتَسِبُوا بِمَعْرُوفٍ لَمْ تُعَجِّلُوا. Don't delay any ma'roof that you can do. Don't count a ma'roof until you have completed it. Rush and do it and complete it. وَاكْسَبُوا الْحَمْدَ بِالنُّجْحِ. If you want to gain praise, do it with good acts. Don't impose you. You know, some people want titles. Huh? I hope that we're not amongst those that goes to Hajj, comes back. If they don't call him Hajj, there's a problem. Yeah? Was Hajj for the title? Some people care so much about the titles, whatever it may be. Some guy sued a journalist because she called him a millionaire, not a billionaire. It's a real story. It's all about the title. Now, does it matter in terms of lifestyle, millionaire or billionaire? It really, I shared, in the end of the day, they sleep on what can fit their body, and they eat what fills their stomach. They cannot do more than that. And in terms of sickness and healthy food and whatever else, nobody knows. And cancers nowadays, don't let anyone escape. Some people with so much, they avoid everything that is harmful, carcinogenic. I'm not saying that neglect those things, but know that above that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَأْتِيكُمُ الْمَوْتُ وَلَوْ كُنْتُمْ فِي بُرُوجٍ مُشَيَّدَةٍ. Ya Quran says, even if you put the best fortresses to protect yourself from death, death comes to you. And that also, if you eat the best food and all the, healthy stuff, if it is time, it is time. Do whatever you can do. Nevertheless, remember that it's coming. He says, وَاكْسَبُوا الْحَمْدَ بِالنُّجْحِ وَلَا تَكْتَسِبُوا بِالْمَطَلِ ذَمَّ. Don't delay things because that would cause humiliation. That would cause people to say, look at this. Basically the opposite of growing love. فَمَهْمَا يَكُنْ لِأَحَدٍ عِنْدَ أَحَدٍ صَنِيعَةً لَهُ رَأَى أَنَّهُ لَا يَقُومُ بِشُكْرِهَا. I shared this. Some of you may remember. If you do a good deed to somebody and they don't thank you for it, how do you feel? The Imam is reminding us about that. He says, when you do the ma'roof, again, you see how much it's all about people and doing good and loving people. He says, when you do it and you expect some shukr and he is not thanking you, فَاللَّهُ لَهُ بِمُكَافَأَتِهِ. God will reward you. And فَإِنَّهَا أَجْزَلُ عَطَاءً وَأَعْظَمُ أَجْرًا. It is better when they're not grateful, it is more rewarding. And the reward with God is always greater. Do it for the sake of God. Love for the sake of God. Do goodness for the sake of God. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ حَوَائِجَ النَّاسِ إِلَيْكُمْ. Be it known that when people need you, it's a blessing. Therefore, take advantage of people's need of you and do not be bored and tired of those blessings. People asking you, needing you. You have more? That's an opportunity. If you have more than what you need, when people sometimes question khums and zakat, especially khums. Many people, nowadays they've found many ways of questioning it, many different ways. I don't want to get into the details. I tell them, thank God that you have what you can give a fifth of. Do you not realize that? Because the fifth of what? Of what you did not need. Isn't that what it is? A fifth of what you did not need. Some people live paycheck to paycheck. In fact, some people, if they don't earn today, they don't eat today. That's how they live. They work for the day. And this is how it's been throughout the history of mankind. Nothing new. In fact, disposable income that's available today for many people is a new phenomenon. It's not something that existed so much. We have a lot more luxuries than every nation that came before us. Today's average man lives better than the kings. Literally better than the kings. eat better than the kings of the past times. Literally. And yet, you have more than what you need and questioning a fifth of the excess that you didn't need. Thank God for what you have and all that you've been given. It becomes easier. And therefore, look at that as an opportunity. Some people, they want to help family members. Can I give from khums? If you have enough, why are you trying to take shortcuts here and there? Give more. Give from the other four sections. That is also excess of your needs. 1/5 is excess, you give it. Another 4 is excess and you don't need it. Give from that. Why are we trying? Be thankful to God and seize the opportunity that God has given you. Take advantage of it. He's given you the opportunity. You have more opportunity to give. Otherwise, it turns into niqamah. He says, if you don't utilize the opportunities of helping people, it turns into a curse. Something that brings the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ الْمَعْرُوفَ مُكْسِبٌ حَمْدًا. When you do good, you will get praised, you get loved. وَمُعْقِبٌ أَجْرًا. And you get the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you imagine the Imam is talking to us. He says, if ma'roof, فَلَوْ رَأَيْتُمُ الْمَعْرُوفَ رَجُلًا. If ma'roof was to be impersonated as a human being, as a man, it would be the most handsome, the most beautiful person you have seen. Good deeds we will see on the Day of Judgment, aren't we? يوم تجد كل نفس ما عملت من خير محضرة. It'll be present. And we wish that the bad deeds تود لو أن بينها وبينه أمدا بعيدا. Therefore, if ma'roof is a person, it would be a person you would love their company. يسر الناظرين حسنا يسر الناظرين. In your grave, in my grave, we will be accompanied with who? With who? I want to hear it. With our deeds, with a'mal. Your money will be gone. Family, if they do good deeds for you, that's what you get. Otherwise, they can't do anything for you other than do some ma'roof for you. Yeah? You will be accompanied with your a'mal. Beautify your a'mal, you'll have a beautiful company. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. If we do the opposite, فَلَوْ رَأَيْتُمُ اللَّوْمَ. If you see the opposite of it, what is the opposite of it here? He says al-lawm. Lawm means what? Blaming. What does he mean? The Imam is saying, if you put people in a position to say he could have done and he didn't do, she could have done and she didn't do. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. Ma'un is the little help that you could help others. If you put yourself in a position that you could help others and you do not, and they say he could have, that lawm turns into an individual who's so ugly you don't want to see. وَلَوْ رَأَيْتُمُ اللَّوْمَ رَأَيْتُمُوهُ سَمِجًا مُشَوَّهًا تَنْفُرُ مِنْهُ الْقُلُوبِ. Your hearts would want to run away from him. Individual that you created with your own actions. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَتَغَضُّ دُونَهُ الْأَبْصَارِ. Your visions would not want to see him. أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ مَنْ جَادَ سَادٍ. Whoever is generous is a master. Look at the words of wisdom, each one of them. وَمَنْ بَخِلَ رَذِلٍ. Whoever is stingy and acts with misery is humiliated. People look down upon them. وَإِنَّ أَجْوَدَ النَّاسِ مَنْ أَعْطَى مَنْ لَا يَرْجُو. The most generous, now we went to the highest, yeah? وَاجْعَلْنِي in Dua Kumail, we want the highest levels. This is a beautiful dua. Pay attention to the meanings. Don't do dua like checklist. Always pay attention to the meanings. That is what matters. Majalis are not a checklist. I participated. We need to reflect, learn, change. This is why we come to majalis. Dua, Quran, Salat, none of it should be a checklist. I prayed Salatul Fajr. Did it change me? It didn't do anything. That Salat is good for you. It doesn't get anywhere. Ruddat. It'll be returned. It won't be accepted. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, if your heart is not there, your salat is not accepted. Your salat is accepted based on how present your heart was. لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صَلَاتِهِ إِلَّا مَا وَعَى. Whatever you understand, comprehend, and you're reflecting on in your salat, that is what you benefit from. You sit in dua, Khomeir, reflect on the meanings of the dua. وَاجْعَلْنِي مِنْ أَحْسَنِ عَبِيدِكَ نَصِيبًا عِنْدَكَ. Make me amongst the best people in terms of the share of your blessings, Ya Allah. The best. What is the best? In every regard. In loving you, make me the best. In the same dua, we read, وَاجْعَلْ قَلْبِي بِحُبِّكَ مُتَيَّمًا وَاجْعَلْ لِسَانِي بِذِكْرِكَ لَهِجًا وَقَلْبِي بِحُبِّكَ. Make my tongue constantly work in remembrance of you, and make my heart completely dedicated for your love, Ya Allah. بِحُبِّكَ مُتَيَّمًا. Try to be the best. The Imam says, if you want to be amongst the most generous, give those who don't expect it. You know, if you want to be generous. Some give when people knock their door or call them. Nowadays, no knocking. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, people fear coming to someone's door without calling, texting. Yeah, in any case, so call. People call you. Some people are happy, excited. You know, somebody's calling me for help. I don't know if we're amongst them. Make people feel like they can approach you. That's one. Above that, they haven't approached you. That is the real ihsan. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt gave before they were asked. Somebody comes to the Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He knew that this person is needy. He gave him, he said to his servant, give him whatever you have, whatever we have in terms of funds, go bring it and give it to him. The man got worried. He said, what about our food tomorrow, whatever? He says, whoever gave us, sustained us, will sustain us. Don't worry about it. The man who received it said, I haven't asked you yet. He said, if you ask, it's a transaction. You're selling me your, basically, ma'ul wajh, it's called in Arabic, your respect, your dignity. You're giving me your dignity, I'm giving you some money for it. I don't want a transaction. I give you before. These are the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. They taught us that for a reason, not so that we just talk about it, that they were great. What about us? Giran Pedar to bud fazil, as fazl Pedar, Torah chahasil. What have you earned? Let's say your father was the greatest, most generous man in town. What have you earned from that? That's what matters ultimately. He says, وَإِنَّ أَجْوَدَ النَّاسِ مَنْ أَعْطَى مَنْ لَا يَرْجُو وَإِنَّ أَعْفَى النَّاسِ. The most forgiving, be generous, be forgiving. We spoke about them yesterday. The Imam is telling you. It's not me. Imam is telling you. And not only telling you be forgiving, he says be the most forgiving. He's teaching us how to be the most forgiving. He says, وَإِنَّ أَعْفَى النَّاسِ مَنْ عَفَى عَنْ قُدْرَةٍ. He says the most forgiving is one who forgives when they can retaliate. If you can't, I forgive him. That's not. But you forgive when you can do something. That's the most forgiving. Strive to be the most forgiving whenever you can. وَإِنَّ أَوْصَلَ النَّاسِ مَنْ وَصَلَ مَنْ قَطَعَهُ. He says the most dutiful person towards people is one who connects with them and helps them when they did the opposite to him. مَنْ قَطَعَهُ. This is the challenge. You want to challenge yourself and be مِنْ أَحْسَنِ عَبِيدِكَ نَصِيبًا عِنْدَكَ, closest to God, as Imam Hussein alayhi salam teaches us, as Amirul Mu'mineen says, then you have to try and put those into practice. Not just words. The Imam is talking to us. وَالْأُصُولُ عَلَى مَغَارِسِهَا بِفُرُوعِهَا تَسْمُو. Beautiful words. He says, the roots though they might be very good in terms of the ground, they are steady in the ground, they will not grow unless they have the branches. The roots are significant, but they grow with the branches, and that's how they can grow tall. In other words, look at the furu', the branches. Don't think usul ad-din and that's it, I'm good. Look at all the furu', all the side things. And most of it is about people. Muamalat, transactions with people. فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ لِأَخِيهِ خَيْرًا وَجَدَهُ. He says, whoever tries to help their brother in faith, they will find it at a time that they most need it. Like the poetess says it in Farsi, you do good, and they say it in many languages, بالبحر, بالبحر. Do good and throw it in this ocean. In other words, you forget it, but know that it's coming back to you. The Lord will give it to you when you most need it, in the deserts, perhaps in the desert of Qiyamah, when you most need it. When you do good, do it, rush to do it, and do it as a transaction with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. كافأه بها في وقت حاجته وصرف عنه بلاء الدنيا and ما هو أكثر منه ومن نفس. Whoever tries to remove some difficulties from others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove their difficulty in the most difficult times. You know, as we depart this world, and in Qiyamah, these are the difficulties we should be wary about and worried about. And these are the times we should strive to do the best. A man came to the Imam, and I'll come to the musibah with this one. Came to the Imam. I wanted to share some of the dua of the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayh. Time has, as usual, time beat us. But inshallah tomorrow we'll try to beat it. We'll try, and tomorrow night I'll cover some of the du'as of the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayh. A man came to the Imam, again asked in a very poetic way. He wrote a poem, very respectful, to the Imam. The Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayh brought whatever they had to give this man and gave him, and the Imam also responded with a poem. In other words, this is the beauty. When they went to kings, they used to say poetry, and the king would give them. The Imam is saying, we don't need poetry for us to give you. We also say poetry in praise of your personality. And the Imam, in his poetry, he was apologizing. He was apologetic, saying, we wish we could do more for you. Beautiful poetry from the Imam. The man took it and took the money that the Imam gave him and took the letter, but he started crying. Sallallahu alayk ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayk ya ibn Rasulillah. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. The Imam asked this man, he says, have we given you less than what you expected? He cried even more. He said, I never expected anything like this. The Ummah has been unfair, these are my words, unfair to Aba Abdullah about the history of crying for Aba Abdullah. Every one of the wives of Rasulullah has a story with Rasulullah weeping for Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Ayman, Salama, others narrate. They say Rasulullah was crying, and when they inquired about his tears, he said Jibreel told him that his son Hussein will be oppressed and killed. He was in tears, asked Jibreel, where would it be? He said, in the land of Karbala. He even brought him some of the dust of Karbala. Ayman had some of it, they were aware. And that is why when the Imam was departing towards Karbala, departing Medina, they sensed that this could be the time. Everyone was farewelling him, the farewelling of one who's not expecting to see him again. Believers knew that one day this son of Rasulullah would be martyred. This man cries even more and says, I am not crying because of how little, it is more than I expected. Ya ibn Rasulullah, I am crying about those generous hands of yours. How could they be under the sand one day? He was referring perhaps to the grave. He did not know that one day he would be left on the sands of Karbala. Sallallahu alayk ya madloom ya ghareeb. Tonight is the night of farewelling. As the enemy wanted to charge on the camp of Aba Abdullah at night, the Imam asked Aba al-Fadl al-Abbas to go to them and ask them to give them one more night. Wait until the morning, he says to Aba al-Fadl, let them give us tonight, as I would love to spend the night in prayers and reciting the Holy Quran. God knows how much I love prayers. Assalamu alayk ya Aba Abdullah. Let us learn from Imam the relationship with God, his prayers. The night was spent with them worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were, every one of them, standing, seated in ruku', praying, reciting the Quran. لهم دوي كدوي النحل. Any chance they had, they would spend. They would take their breaks, loving and sharing love with their family members, farewelling them. One of the conversations that happened between Aba Abdullah and Zainab Salamullah alayha. Tonight Zainab knows that tomorrow's the day she would not have her brothers. The Imam was preparing her
telling her, Zainab, my sister, my beloved Zainab, be it known that tomorrow we will not be able to defend you. You have to take care of the children. You have to take care of the orphans. My beloved Zainab, you have to be strong. Perhaps that's when some narrate the Imam putting his hand on the chest of Zainab, giving her confidence, giving her strength, calming her heart in such a situation. Salamullah alayki ya Zainab. Imagine the situation in a land far from home, surrounded by ruthless enemies, thousands of them, knowing that tomorrow she would have to deal with the enemy. She would not have her guards, her brothers, her protectors. On top of that, she has to take care of the children. With them, she has to take care of the Imam of her time, Imam Zainul Abidin, who was unwell. A difficult night. Perhaps she was praying and hoping that this night would never end. Another one, making the night more difficult for the family of Abu Abdullah, is an infant child who cried and cried in thirst. Ali al-Asghar or Abdullah al-Radi, crying and crying. Perhaps by now he was between crying and fainting in weakness. Wakes up and cries until he faints in weakness and thirst. The rest of the children here, all of them cry. What a difficult night for Abu Abdullah, for Zainab Salamullah alayha. This child did not know that tomorrow he would be one of the martyrs of Karbala. When Abu Abdullah al-Hussein wants to farewell his infant child, the enemy, the loveless enemy, the enemy filled with hatred, would not even spare an infant child. As they witnessed Ali al-Asghar, as they witnessed him crying, the enemy says, I looked at the child. The cursed Harmala says, I looked at the child, found the whiteness of the skin in his neck, targeted his neck. فذبحته من الوريد إلى الوريد. One of the companions of Mukhtar narrates, he says, I asked Harmala, when they grabbed Harmala, they said to him, did you not feel any remorse? Did you have no emotions at all? He says, there was one point when I hit the target, the child hugged his father like the farewelling of the baby, saying, thank you, Father, for the water. علی اصغر بلبل مادر، نور چشمانم ناله کمتر کن. تمام اهل حرم گریان از برای تو ناله کمتر کن. علی اصغر ناله ناله کمتر کن گل نازم ناله کمتر کن آه وا ویلا آه وا ویلا مکن ناله ای گل ماهم عم تو رفته از برای آب تمام اهل حرم گریان از برای تو گشتن بیتاب علی اصغر ناله کمتر کن گل نازم ناله کمتر کن آه وا ویلا آه وا ویلا. Tonight it's typical that they recite the farewelling of Zainab with the martyrs. The farewelling that is famous, I'll recite some lines and then I'll recite poetry that you may understand. Ya Lil طول ساعاتك يا ليل احمل آهاتك يا ليل طول ساعاتك يا ليل احمل آهاتك لو ودعت الوليان تتولاني العدوان. It is the words like Zainab is speaking, saying to the night, oh night, carry my sorrow's weight, for my heart aches mourning their fate. O night of parting, endless in woe, how I wish you'd pass ever so slow. How I wish you'd pass ever so slow. In the shadows of the night I weep and weep, longing for the ones I'd love to keep. She would love for Abu Abdullah to stay next to her, for Al-Abbas to be with her, for her children to be with her. She knows tomorrow she won't have them, longing for the ones I'd love to keep. In the expanse of darkness and despair, their radiant presence once shone fair. O night, carry my sorrow's weight, for my heart aches, mourning their fate. For my heart aches, mourning their fate. For in your watch I stay awake, the tears in my eyes for them I forsake. Hussein the beacon, his love does ignite, I guide through the darkest of the night. With every breath I yearn to be in his service, his solace to see. O night, carry my sorrow's weight, for my heart aches mourning their fate. O night, carry my sorrow's weight, for my heart aches mourning their fate. I am Zainab, her strength revealed. In Hussein's arms my heart seeks to be healed. I am Zainab, her strength revealed. In Hussein's arms my heart seeks to be healed. The bonds of love forever entwined, in the heart sanctuary, there enshrined. In this journey of love, pain and grief, their presence tonight offer me sweet relief. Oh night, carry my sorrow's weight, for my heart aches, mourning their fate. Their sacrifice, a love so pure. In their absence, my heart searches a cure. To stand by their side, a wish so grand, to embrace them all hand in hand. In the depth of love, I'll always remain. With them my heart forever chained. With every breath my heart does pray to join them on that fateful day. Till then in love's embrace I'll stand. O night, carry my love's command. O night, carry my sorrow's weight, for my heart aches, mourning their fate. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم، إلهي بمحمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين، وبالتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين. إلهي بإمام زماننا صاحب المصيبة، يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب، ثبت قلبي على دينك. Make our hearts steadfast upon the religion, Ya Allah. Make us amongst the sincere lovers and followers of the Imam of our time, Ya Allah. Those who prepare for his return, those who would not leave him alone, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, mu'mineen and mu'minat who asked us for dua, those with hajat, those with legitimate hajat, those who are unwell, those in difficulty, grant them abundance of your blessings, relief and recovery, Ya Allah. Mu'mineen and mu'minat who passed away from our gatherings, martyred, who were martyred, especially those recently innocently killed in love of Zainab Salamullah alayha. Grant them abundance of your mercy, all the mu'mineen and mu'minat who passed away, amongst them our ancestors, our loved ones, especially those who instituted and prepared the Majlis of Aba Abdullah. Grant them abundance of your mercy and the rewards of this Majlis, these Majalis, with the rewards of Al-Fatiha ma'a salawat. Allahumma salli.
Not me, but Brother Zuhair. Ali la ilaha, 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 Ali la ilaha. Everyone, علي لا إله علي لا إله علي علي لا إله علي لا إله علي لا إله علي علي لا إله لا 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 گل بابا دیگه سقا نمیتونه آب بیاره لا 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 گل پرپر بخواب از غر مادرت که شیر نداره لا 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 گل یاسم در حراسم حرمل تو رو نبینه قاتل تو پرزکینه در کمینه تا که یاسمو بچینه بارون میباره از چشمام جون نداره پاهم موندم تنها لرزه افتاده بر عذاب جون نداره رو دستم جون بابا بارون میباره از چشمام جون نداره پاهم موندم تنها لرزه افتاده بر عذاب جون نداره رو دستم جون بابا علی لا اله everyone علی لا اله علی لا اله علی علی لا اله علی لا اله علی لا اله علی علی لا اله لا 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 گل سنبل چه قشنگ زل زدی تو چشمای بابا لا 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 دل بریدی پر کشیدی از روی دستای بابا وقتی ساقی آب نیاورد تشنه لب مرد وقتی دیدم مادرت رو دم گوشش گفتم آروم تا نشد دیر سیر نگاه کن اصغرت رو آه غمی کشم از دل با خنده قاتل ای دل ای دل آه غمی کشم از دل با خنده قاتل ای دل ای دل راه خیمه رو گم کردم پرز غم و دردم ای دل ای دل بارون میباره از چشمام جون نداره پاهم موندم تنها لرزه افتاده بر عذاب جون نداره رو دستم جون بابا علی لا اله علی لا اله علی علی لا اله علی لا اله علی لا اله علی علی لا اله صلوات
Just one more, let me add. This is in memory of Ali al-Akbar, the son of Imam Hussein. ويلا على الأكبر ويلا على الأكبر ويلا على الأكبر together ويلا ويلا على الأكبر ولا على الأكبر ولا على together ولا على الأكبر. The river envies tears flowing from her eyes. The river envies tears flowing from her eyes. With hands bathed in Akbar's blood, to God she cries. With hands bathed in Akbar's blood, to God she cries. وَإِلَى عَلَى الْأَكْبَرِ وَإِلَى عَلَى الْأَكْبَرِ وَإِلَى عَلَى الْأَكْبَرِ. O Lord, who brought Yaqub's sight back, make me blind. O Lord, who brought Yaqub's sight back, make me blind. What use have the eyes of a sonless mother? What use have the eyes of a sonless mother? ولا على الأكبر ولا على الأكبر ولا. Hey, glory to God who answered my prayer. Glory to God who answered my prayers. A mother's prayers answered when it's in despair. A mother's prayers answered when it is in despair. I ask you, oh Allah, return my son here. I ask you, oh Allah, return my son here. Your wisdom brought him back a lifeless martyr. Your wisdom brought back a lifeless martyr. ولا على ولا I see Hussein choke up with words left unsaid. I see Hussein choke up with words left unsaid. Staring at his beloved who two swords have fed. Staring at his beloved who two swords have fed. This isn't Akbar's body, it's Muhammad. This isn't Akbar's body, it's Muhammad. It's bathed in his own blood, Allah's messenger. It's bathed in his own blood, Allah's messenger. ولا على الأكبر ولا على الأكبر ولا. Oh, Hussein, call Zainab so we can lament. Oh, Hussein, call Zainab so we can lament. The skies have stalled and gathered at his tents. The skies have stalled and gathered at his tents. Let her see how much her back has become bent. Let her see how much your back has become bent. Let her see how much your back has become bent. Turn towards Najaf and complain to Haidar. And turn to Najaf and complain to Haidar. Wala ala al-akbar, wala ala al-akbar, wala ala al-akbar. The river envies tears flowing from her eyes. The river envies tears flowing from her eyes. With hands bathed in Akbar's blood, to God she cries. With hands blood in Akbar's blood, to God she cries. Wa wala ولا على الأكبر ولا على الأكبر. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا سيدة فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا أبا محمد الحسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن وعلى حسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك وعلى أخيك أبي الفضل العباس، وعلى أختك الحوراء زينب، وعلى سائر الشهداء وأسيران كربلاء كوفة والشام جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على التسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والأمر والزمان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه بها طويلة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.